Hello, we begin in Bangladesh, where student leaders say they will not back down from their protests after the top courts scaled back a government jobs quota system. So in the past few hours, the Supreme Court dismissed an earlier ruling by the High Court that reintroduced the policy of reserving more than half of public service positions for relatives of war veterans and minority groups. The judgment states that 93% of government jobs will now be merit-based appointments. The June order reinstating the quota system led to weeks of student-led protests. At least 140 people have been killed and thousands injured in a crackdown by security forces. Soldiers are on the streets with a nationwide curfew in place indefinitely. Internet and mobile phone connectivity remains cut. Tanvir Chowdhury has more from Dhaka.
The breaking news is that the student leaders among the protesters have actually said they're not going to back down from the protest. They had 8 points demand. Those has to be met. Two of the key demands were all the detained leaders. One of them is actually abducted by detective police and he's still missing. The police denied that he was taken by detective police. And many other politicians from the opposition, at least 70, three of them senior-most politicians of the Nationalist Party. So there's a lot of anger in the state. Now the student leaders saying we're not going to back down the protest, we'll continue the protest, and those demands are going to be met. Another key demand is that the Home Minister and the Bangladesh ruling party Secretary General, who happens to be also the Transport and Communication Minister, they both have to resign because they blame them for instigating the crackdown on them. There's protest and scattered violence going on in different locations. Just behind me, about half a kilometer away, there's at least 5 universities. There's a combined operation by the Bangladesh military and other security forces trying to crack down on the students who live in those areas also. So the dynamic is very fluid, it's changing constantly, and it's hardly stable. Just because of the verdict, the anger is not going to melt down because there's too much bloodshed been shed in the street. Even common people we spoke to, that this is not acceptable. How can our own police kill so many people?
Well, let's look at what the Supreme Court ruling means. So it reduces the percentage of government jobs reserved under the quota system to 7%. That's down from 56%. 5% of public sector positions will be reserved for children and grandchildren of veterans of the 1971 War of Independence. And that's